All right, welcome aboard. Time for another Nooner with Dave LaMont on a Friday to get you into the weekend, and myself as well. Although, let's face it, some days are all running together. And I want to do, I was on the Steve Noodleberg podcast, Tell Me Something Good, and Steve is such an upbeat person. He doesn't want any bad news, he wants good news. But, you know, we got to start with a tough one. We woke up this morning to some shocking and sad news. I'm processing. You probably are too. The breakup of Danica Patrick and Aaron Rodgers will be tough for us to take, but I think the time heals all of those types of wounds, and we will thrive again. Seriously. I don't mean to mock because that is a personal matter, but it can't be too personal when you're two very famous people who are easily recognizable. But this is such an era of social media. I had to get a chuckle over how we all first learned about it, is that she unfollowed him on Instagram. That's how we do it now, folks. It used to be the crowded restaurant, you don't make a scene, or the it's not me, it's not you, it's me. That's the classic breakup line. Now it's the I don't know if you noticed, but they stopped tweeting to each other, and somebody picked that up. So that means somebody noticed it. Somebody follows Danica Patrick obsessively enough that she's not following Aaron Rodgers anymore. I wish them well. They're attractive people. I believe they'll date again. But I just found that to be so in step with today's times. How'd you find out? Well, they texted they were breaking up. Hey, take it like I used to have to take it years and years ago, right in the chops. No texting, no social media. Hey, Dave, you're out. That's a breakup. So anyway, let's go on to actual serious conversations about a few things. And a little bit later on, we're going to continue with what is now going to be as many of these expressions that I can find, and we're going to flush down the verbal or the toilet of our lives. And we got another one for you at the end here that we're going to try to improve our use of the English language. So let's start with the NFL, since I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. It was interesting, the reaction from an announcement from the Dolphins, and I suspect that they're not going to be the only team to do this, that no fans of preseason games. By the way, why do you want to go? Unless you are related to the player that's involved, that's your son, your brother, your nephew, your grandson, then go. Otherwise, come on, man. That's 3.5 hours of your life that could be better spent sitting somewhere than sticky humidity. Anyway, the other thing is they're going to announce what the stadium capacity is going to be, and they haven't done that yet. But no tailgating. And this really bothered a lot of people, I noticed on Facebook. Now, again, with Facebook, you can't tell if it's a sarcasm font or if they're really mad. Usually I go by the number of exclamation points. The more, the worse. Sometimes you throw one in there and you're trying to be funny. In this case, it wasn't funny to some people, and I understand the tailgate experience, although personally I'm just absolutely appalled. That was the word I was stumbling over. Appalled at the behavior of some people at tailgates, especially at the NFL level. With college, it's more collegial. You got people who bring their RVs and they're there for 3 days, and they're living. Many of them are alums. They're coming back home. Their tailgates are all about the quality of the food, and the alcohol is really good. And it's different. In the NFL, it just seems to be about how much can you slam down your gullet, get into a fight with somebody who wears a jersey from the other team, and then stagger home, sleep it off, and go back to work on Monday. So I'm not going to miss tailgating. Not that I would do it anyway. But the concept in some places has gotten out of hand. It's a little goofy. But anyway, don't know what the regular season attendance policy is going to be. I personally wouldn't go, but if you want to go, that's your deal. I see already one comment about you went to preseason games because you couldn't afford the regular season. That's a perfectly fair point. I think now it's all the same, is it not? I go back to when I was a kid, and the only time I saw the Washington NFL team play was in person was a preseason game. You couldn't get tickets in the regular season, and we got preseason tickets. And Lord knows, I didn't pay. I was probably 11, and so my dad paid. So that's a fair comment about it, but still. By the way, I just thought of something. Back to Aaron Rodgers. You know what the Green Bay Sports Talk is going to be like today, right? Yeah. Hey, let's. All right, Jim from Appleton. Jim, what do you got for us? Well, I think this is going to be good for Aaron. She was a distraction. She's needy and needs attention, and he's got to focus on getting the Packers back to the Super Bowl. Okay, let's take another call. From lacrosse, and somebody will say, "Oh no, he's going to be brokenhearted. He's going to be miserable this year." That'll be Green Bay Sports Talk today. I'll be taking a nap. I'm going to miss out on that one. We talked to you about the Dolphins, going back to the NFL for a little bit. The Eagles, no fans, period. The Phillies, who are literally across the street, their stadium is here. The Eagles, here. No fans for either team. That's the city of Philadelphia putting the thumb down and saying, hey, go ahead and have your games, but you cannot have fans. In Washington, and just found out this morning, the Nationals were looking at having to play in different minor league parks in the state of Virginia. They are going to be allowed to use their stadium in D.C., which is in the Navy Yard area of the city. So if we continue to just adjust on the fly with this virus, and it's every time I know it's virus talk, but the effect it is having on sports, we just found out, I believe it was this morning, the MEAC, which is predominantly historically black college and university conference. In fact, it is. They're not having any fall sports at all. And these are schools that do not have unlimited athletic budgets. All right? These are schools that play basketball games for money. They play football games for money because they need the money, period. So this is going to hurt. It might save some, it will save some, but still, that means they're not playing these profile games where they get some desperately needed cash influx. You want to know why college football is so desperate to keep going, and why athletic directors are lusting after, I shouldn't say that because it's like I'm picking on them, but I don't really mean to do that. About Tuesday, I think, of this week, there was a letter sent out by the athletic director at Iowa State who said to boosters and various friends and fans of the Cyclones program that if there's no football for Iowa State in the fall, it's going to cost about $40 million. That's money they don't have. Unless Bill Gates becomes an Iowa State football booster. Now, that's one school, and it is indeed a school in a major conference. What does that mean? What would happen at Oklahoma? What would happen at Oklahoma State? What would happen at North Carolina or Boston College or the University of Florida or Florida State or UM? That's one school admitting what the price tag would be if there's no football. So while we see the light switches starting to go off, shut off, there are some who are still fighting to keep going. I like the idea of playing only conference games starting in October. There's a lot of problems with spring football. And that's considered the last resort. I think there are some people who would rather just blow up the season and not play at all. But that could be very costly too. But the spring football problems, to me, in addition to what you're going to be doing to the sports calendar, which is relatively minor, what about the athletes, the senior athletes who are never going to make a dime playing football in their life and who really need to get their degrees? And who knows what their education plan is going to be? They could be going on for 3 more years or 2 years or whatever. They need that degree to move on with their lives and get to their careers. And now you're throwing all of the stuff that required for a college football player at them in addition to trying to finish strong academically if they're on track to graduate in May. And we don't even know what college campuses are going to look like in January yet. We're all hopeful that the campus life will be like we remember it and love it and care for it, but it may not be. The other issue is you might have NFL draft prospects go, I'm out. I'm not playing. That's their right, by the way, because an injury in April is sure different than an injury in October. And the other thing, here's what coaches and trainers don't like, is an injury in April, let's say to a sophomore who's not ready for the NFL, and now you're asking that guy to be ready in July and August when he may not be. So there's going to be, and that's going to happen to everybody who plays in the spring, if you do, that's going to be a big issue. Recovery from injury, and just recovery from the season. You know, these guys aren't the pros who really beat the hell out of each other, but these guys take shots too. And even with the de-emphasis of tackling and contact in practices, it's still a lot of contact in a real game. And your recovery period is shorter, even if you're 20 years old. You need recovery. So I'll get spring football. You know, I'll follow it. But I understand the move. I also understand if you're sitting there going, come on, man, the virus is taking over. Look at the numbers. Look at everything. Look at your own state, Florida. I understand. I'm never going to tell anybody who's concerned about the virus and wanting to be safe that they're wrong. That to me is silly. You have every right to feel that way and to feel concerned. All for you on that. They've announced protocols, 72-hour testing. The American Conference has announced protocols. The NCAA, which doesn't really have any authority over college football, is nevertheless putting out these protocols that have to be met if we're going to have a season. It is a positive step that we have a protocol in place. We have an idea of what may happen. But it is no guarantee that that's going to give us what we want, which is football. And even buying the time by eliminating, let's say, the month of September may not be enough. Like I said, light switches are turning off. And I'm not sure. I'm concerned about the start of basketball. They're already announcing games in November and December. Hey, so-and-so's coming to this place, and this school just signed a contract with, and you know what? That may not happen. You may have conference only in basketball, and maybe without fans. And that would be very bad. We've got a kid, one of our boys is going to be playing this year, I hope. Another one is a graduate assistant at a basketball program. We'd love to go visit them and watch games. May not be able to do that. So it's depressing at times. It's provocative. You know, it's irritating at times. You know, you did have good news. The NFL, only a little less than 3% of their players tested positive. That's not bad. That's tested positive. We don't know the degree of their illnesses. I have yet to be heard about any athletes who are seriously ill. But then again, that stuff can also be kept private, and probably should be. It's their business, unless they want it released. Major League Baseball starts, 6 days? We hope. There have been some positive tests. And by the way, we're never going to go with whatever we do, whether the NBA gets off the ground in Orlando or the WNBA gets off the ground or the National Hockey League gets off the ground. Do not expect 100%, hey, everybody's clean. Not going to happen. Football would take the worst hit, of course, because if one guy or two people test positive after a game, then that's going to throw, the balance of a team out of complete whack. So it's a major, major issue, and it's awful. A couple of the little items. Deion Sanders' son, Shadur, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've not seen him play. He's got 1 year in high school. Commits to FAU. For those of you who are wondering how Willie Taggart was going to do at Florida Atlantic after a rough go at Florida State, and Deion's son is a highly recruited quarterback out of the Dallas area. He's got another year of high school ball to play if he's able to play it. And FAU beat out some pretty prominent schools, big-time schools, bigger conferences than where FAU is right now in CUSA. So congratulations to Willie Taggart. He will join, Shadur Sanders will join Michael Irvin II, who left the UM and transferred to FAU, or hopefully he'll get a little bit more playing time. So best of luck to both of those young men. And we'll see if Shadur sticks through. He does have another year, and I'm sure other schools are going to be banging on him. But I hope he honors his commitment to the Owls. I think he'll be hopefully he'll be a spectacular addition. The G League wins again. It's the league that you don't watch that's full of professional basketball players. I'm a little cynical. It's a great developmental league for the NBA, actually, and it's a fantastic idea. What's happening now is a few prospects, including the number one rated prospect for the class of 2021, has decided I'm not going to college for a year. I'm going to go right to the G League now and begin my professional development. So college basketball over the last 10, 15, 20 years has just been it's like watching a tree. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Eventually, I don't know if the tree is ever going to fall, but it's not good. It is not good. And for college basketball, for the G League and for the young men involved, and if they have that option, I understand it completely. I'm not going to rip the kid. It's not fair. He's doing what he thinks is best. And if he doesn't think he's college material for even a year or doesn't want to do, the one-and-done routine that so many have done, he's got that right. He has that right. It is okay. I don't know if it's going to help the G League. I don't know if it's going to help their attendance or any more attention that they get, which they don't get a lot. But they are important to NBA teams. So it's another win for the G League. This is going to keep happening. And with the continued uncertainty with college, it might even be easier to shift to the G League, assuming that they don't take too big of a hit from this damn virus. Tiger Woods is back, and you better hurry up and if you're going to watch him in the second round today, because I don't think he's going to be playing in the third and the fourth round, which stinks because I'm a huge Tigerologist. I even stuck with him during the dark years when he was either in trouble for his moral mistakes or his injuries. So I'm a big Tiger fan, but it's not going well for him. Last I checked, he's not even that close to the cut line at Memorial. So the return of Tiger is going to be a flop, and that's bad news for the networks and bad news for those who wanted to watch some golf this weekend. It's certainly bad news for me. No offense to anyone who loves their players out there, but I admit that over the years I am more of a Tiger than a golf fan. So there you have it. One more item on this, on golf that I had to catch, because I know I've got golfers out there who watch. I'm starting to agree. I realize I'm gracefully aging, and I don't hit the golf ball as long as I used to. And I watch, you see a Bryson DeChambeau hit 400-yard drives, and sometimes it takes me 3 shots to reach 400 yards. He used to not do that. And Jack Nicklaus has been yelling about this for a while. And now it's going on at his tournament, at his golf course in Ohio. And he's like, can you just change the ball? Can you change the ball? Can you make the ball less explosive? Because what you're going to do is you're going to take all these great old golf courses and you're going to nullify them. They're going to be useless. And if you're a student of the game, there's only a few, there's some golf courses now are off the rotations because you can't play it as a pro anymore. These guys just bomb them too far. So some of the old classic golf courses are gone. They're out of play. And I'm starting to think Jack's right. And I don't know if that means I'm just getting older, or maybe old Jack's got a point. Now, I don't mean for a slob like me. I need all the distance on a golf ball I can get. But for a guy 400 yards, where does it stop? Do we have to start building 8,000-yard golf courses? I like technology, but I'm not sure this is the way it's supposed to have been done. So I'm going to go to the side of caution here and say change the ball. The USBC, United States Bowling Congress. I also have a lot of bowling followers out there. You saw that Jeff Riggles and his 11th frame by the blog, by the way, if you want to read about bowling. Jeff's one of the premier writers, along with Mark London, George Wooten, and those guys. But Jeff reported that there'll be no USBC events for 2020. That meant the Masters is gone. The women's events are gone. It's a smart move. And I saw that and I go, you know what? Not just in that sport, but in all sports, you feel like 2021, if we can get our hands on a reliable vaccine, and that's another debate for another day, will be a huge bounce back year for this country and for sports. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm not the most optimistic guy in the world. That screaming laughter you hear from the other room is my wife, because she knows. But it has to be. You have to have that shred of optimism. You have to hope, right? You have to have hope. You have to have hope that Danica and Aaron will find love again. And you have to have hope that we'll have a full normal calendar next year. 2 questions have popped up. And Chuck, which coach are you talking about? Chuck Cicerello, who asked what was it like calling games next to coach, and I've called games with a lot of coaches, so if you don't mind being more specific. My man Phil Brylow, $2 Phil, who's my pick for the PBA Tour Finals without Belmo there this weekend? Naturally, I'll go with Randy Peters. Even though he's not competing, he's always a winner. I don't know, why not Kyle? Why not Kyle Troop? Let's go with that. Let's go with another two-hander. We'll go with Kyle Troop. So, Chuck, if you're still with me, if you can just fire in a name of a coach, because if you went through the list of people I've worked with over the years, there's a lot of retired or temporarily unemployed coaches. Most recent, Mark Adams was splendid. Absolutely splendid. Mark is one of the world's great guys. And there's another person who's upbeat and optimistic. And I am so envious of people like that. You know, I was kidding around at the beginning when I said we woke up with a dark cloud about 2 celebrities breaking up in the world of sports. But, yeah, I've always admired Mark. He's a terrific broadcaster, loves the game. I mean, loves college basketball. And that passion comes out when you watch Mark broadcast. Yeah, it was a treat. That was really one of the most rewarding, maybe the most rewarding college basketball season I've ever called was last year, doing just about every one of my games with Mark. And also I got a game with my buddy Mark Wise, who was calling a lot of games in the American Conference. And Mark's another terrific guy who loves the game. And they have that ability to break it down. And they have that ability to say it in ways where everybody understands it. And that's a real skill. Adams has a book called The Coach and the Geek, which is on another table in our house right now, as a matter of fact. And it's he wrote it with his buddy Jeff Van Vliet, and it's a book about business culture and all of that. And I highly recommend it. And you can get it on your Amazon. And good dude, yeah, Mark Adams. Thank you, Chuck, for bringing that up. That's terrific. Loved Mark, absolutely loved Mark. All right, it is time to improve the English language. It is time for the second installment of, and if I had graphics, I would say improve the English language. The other day we talked about billions with a B and how utterly ridiculous that is. And I am hoping now that from that Monday to the rest of your life, you will never say billions with a B. This one is a little bit more broadcasting specific. So I know I have some broadcast pals out there, either on or off the air types, like Chuck, who's an off-the-air guy and a superb director. Pre-recorded has got to go. Now, I'll give you 3 seconds to let that sink in. It's redundant, bro. It's from the Department of Redundancy Department. Think about it for a second. Now, we've been saying, and I absolutely have used the word pre-recorded, in the business, in our business, and it's, is that thing ready? Yeah, it's been pre-recorded, so it's okay, good. Glad to know it's pre-recorded. It's the same thing. If you record something, it's not live. So if you have a piece that's going to drop into your broadcast that has been recorded, it's already ready to go. Been edited, whatever else little surgery had to be done to it, it's recorded. It's ready. Not pre-recorded, because that's literally like saying you recorded it. So let's work on this one. Hey, that show I taped the other day. Oh, the one you recorded? Not pre-recorded. Recorded. That's all. It's very, very simple. In the industry, we say pre-recorded because it makes it sound smarter. Yeah, Chuck, stick around. We got B-roll coming up next. Yeah, that's another one. But that one's not so bad. But I don't understand what A-roll is. Listen, when I'm teaching, I say B-roll all the time. Why not F-roll or T-roll? But it's B-roll, because apparently the A-roll wasn't available. But just remember, recorded means it's recorded, not pre-recorded, because you're either live or you're recorded. Now, we do a thing in TV called live to tape, which is another TV exclusive, which means you're supposed to act like you're on live, but you're not. But in other words, you can't stop. That one makes a little bit of sense. Live to tape means you can't stop. In other words, you can't go, hey, can we do that one again? No, dummy. They're still playing. Keep going. And we're not editing that out. You look like a fool. But pre-recorded, out of here. And so am I. It's lunchtime. Thank you very, very much. One more plea for more YouTube subscribers, and I want to thank those of you who've now pushed me over 100. I believe I get like a $10,000 check from YouTube for reaching 100, so that is awesome. I will spend it wisely. And keep going to the YouTube channel. That's where these drop. And if you're a little bit late and you want to see it from the beginning, it's also obviously on my Facebook page, but it's on YouTube. And if I can figure out to add other content to YouTube without running into trouble and not having a guy in a blazer that says, or a windbreaker that says FBI on the back come to my door and arrest me for YouTube copyright violations, I'll add some other things. But in the meantime, that's where you can watch any of these. And I hope you have that opportunity to do so. That would be wonderful. I'd love it if you would watch that for me again. And feel free to leave any questions or comments there that I didn't get to hear today, but I want to thank the audience for the participation and the questions and for all of your support. I absolutely enjoy doing this, and one of the biggest reasons is hearing from you all, and that's very meaningful to me. So thank you for that. YouTube channel costs nothing to subscribe. I even changed the picture to make it look like me because the picture there wasn't me initially. That'll do it. Have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully we get a decent weather if you're a South Floridian. You've already been pounded by some rain. Hopefully we get out and have a great weekend where the humidity is below 6,000%. I'll talk to you Monday at when else noon. But again, my thanks to you, and I'm Dave LaMont. I'll see you Monday.